Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Females need you just to trick me, trick me, trick me, trick me. 'Cause baby girl, you are so easily pretty. The only reason that I can do tonight is 'cause I know you were invited. The only reason that this dress is skin tight is 'cause I thought that you would like it. I'm only come for this.
On this episode of Jessica Javens Talk, we're going to be talking about mindset, but also loving what you actually do. So, I have an amazing person here today, a major athlete, Dallas, and I'm so grateful that he came. And I'm here in Indianapolis, and I was able to meet him here. Like, thank you so much. And I can't wait for you to listen to some of the things that he's going to bring to the table, some of the things that created him to be able to get to where he did, and now to still, on this new part of or phase of his life, still enjoying and loving life. So tune in and make sure that you're not just clicking like, but you're also making a difference in somebody else's life by sharing this content with all of your friends and family. Welcome to the show, Dallas. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We were chatting a little bit before this, and every time that I heard something from you, it just enlightened me a little bit more. And I really want the people to be listening to this. So let's talk a little bit about, of course, your career when it started. You were saying you're still playing in a way. You're still in the baseball world, still in the game, right? And you're going to explain to us how. But tell us how this all started for you. How did baseball started, and why baseball?
Well, it started as a kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York, Kiwanis Projects in South Brooklyn. Um, I started watching baseball as a kid with my grandfather and my brothers. My oldest brother played softball on the streets of Brooklyn, and that's how I got started, just following him around and trying to be like him. And that's where I got my start.
And it's interesting because when I go back to that time of my life, Dallas, I'm thinking like I used to love to dance and sing. But that's not something that I chose for my career. So how did it work for you? Because you became so good at it and you were very successful at it. So how did you transform that childhood maybe pleasure bond that you had with your family on it to an actual career?
Well, I had actually had a couple of friends in the projects that liked playing baseball, well, softball. And we'll get to that in a minute. But they liked playing softball, and we just went out there. And our time was limited because growing up in New York, you had the cold weather to deal with. But every chance we got to go out on the field and on I should say the court, because a lot of our playing was on concrete. We didn't have the luxury of playing on baseball fields because of where we lived. So we went out on public school 32 softball field, athletic field, and did our thing. Just played as much as we could.
That's awesome. And when did you knew that this was something that you wanted to do as a career?
You know what? I never really thought about making the career. I just said I love playing, and the more I played, the more people started watching, and I got more encouragement from my family members and my friends and coaches who said, hey, you're going to be really good, so just keep your mind on this game, and something good can happen for you. And that's the way it started for me.
That's amazing. You know, not everybody probably has that type of encouragement, but this shows how important it is that you have the right people that are there looking towards your future, cheering you up and encouraging you versus the opposite. That unfortunately happens in this world. So I think that if you are in a place that you don't get the encouragement or you're around friends who don't encourage you or bring you down or whatever it is, that you have to search for that right people, that right set of people or that community that is actually going to do that. And I love the fact that you said that you didn't even like planned it. It just kind of happened because you were so passionate about it. And so tell me a little bit about that. How did that play a part in your success now, the amount of passion and love that you had for the sport?
Well, the passion, I think, like I said, came from my grandfather and my brothers watching the game and talking about it and saying I wanted to be like this guy. I was a diehard Met fan as a kid and watching Cleon Jones and Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, all those guys play. I said, man, those guys look like they love the game. They're not only good, but I'm watching them on TV. They're getting money to play the game. Obviously, it wasn't the money that it is now, but that's how I really got the passion for being as good as I could be by watching, emulating, and saying that if I play this game as long as they played it, and if I put my heart into it, maybe I can get to that level. That's when I started getting grow more love for it.
Okay, so would you say that that was key? The love for it, it was key for you to become a successful baseball player.
Absolutely, the love for first of all watching it, and trying to mock those players. I said, I'd get up and stand like a Cleon Jones or Don Clendenin. I'd get up and watch those guys and stand up and try to get in their batting stance and say, this is how they're doing it, and that's how I got it. Man, I like doing this. I want to try to do this on the field, so that's how I got it.
Awesome. Did you have moments that you felt so maybe down for whatever reason, and you can share the story if you like, and you felt like giving up?
I can honestly say that I can't remember. As when I got to the higher levels as a professional, you have your moments where you wonder if you can do it. But coming up, there was never a moment in that I can remember where I said, "Man, I don't want to do this anymore," because I loved it so much. I played basketball, I played football, but I never had the passion like I did for baseball. So that really never entered my mind that I didn't want to do it anymore.
That's incredible. That's something so amazing because I went through that with my latest career where I had people not believing in it. And that doesn't stop me because I am so in love with what I'm doing now. And that's, again, the main ingredient. Tell us about the most difficult moment in your career.
Well, the most difficult moment was being told by, major league manager that you're not going to make this team. You have to go down and try to hone your skills, to where you can get back up here and contribute. So, getting sent down from one level to the next to a lower level, yeah, it happened a couple of times. So there was more than one disappointing time for me as far as that's concerned. But, every time something doesn't work out for you um, physically and you have to go and try to improve, I guess that's the most disappointing part of it is just, accepting the fact that they think that you need to go down and get better.
Did you at this moment question yourself? Like, what is the path that you had to go through to get over this difficult moment?
Well, I was I wasn't disappointed. I was more pissed than anything, because you don't ever like to be told that you're not good enough or you're not ready at this point. So, when I got sent down a couple of times, I went down and sulked for a little bit, but then realized that, hey, this is what you chose to do. You have to take the good with the bad, and there's going to be times where this game is not good to you, and you have to just make up in your mind that I'm going to overcome that and do the best I can to get my life back in order and get my game back in order.
Very well said. Because this happens to sooner or later in our lives, it's going to happen to us, no matter what field or where we're living or what's going on. So thank you for sharing that. Tell me about how did you have to, a moment that you had to completely shift maybe a strategy or something that you were doing that you thought it was working, but it wasn't working anymore. Can you think about a time where you had to shift gears? And it doesn't have to be necessarily on that, because I know that on the side of the professional life, you also had a reflection on that into your personal life, absolutely, and that affected your life. So tell me about a time that you kind of had to shift the mindset.
Well, I think after I met my wife and had my first child, Dallas the third, I had to shift my mindset into saying, okay, well, now I'm playing for someone else, to help support my family and have them going in the right direction. So that's when my mind really shifted as far as not being a single guy. I was married and I had to raise my family and I had to keep playing to make sure that I could support them. So that was probably a big moment in my life when I shifted my mindset. So when my second child came along, Dior, it was more of a transition. It was an easier transition to do that because I already had a idea of what I needed to do as a player and as a father and as a husband at that point. So it was easier then, but that was the biggest transition for me in my life, I thought.
That's big. Yeah, raising a family is big. Um, how did that affect your career? Like, did it affect in any way at this point because now your attention was maybe divided?
Yeah, when you go on the road and you're missing your kids and missing your wife, and a lot of times she tried to travel with me when we went to Louisville and different places that were close by. She tried to take the kids, and that got to be a burden on her too because we couldn't travel together. I had to go with the team, so she did a lot of sacrificing just as much as I did. So that part would weigh on my mind. Just not being able to be with them and worrying about them traveling and driving and
Wow.
not being with them. That really played a toll in my game as well.
I can imagine. How long did this kind of play a part? Was it during the entire raising of the kids when they were small?
No, as they got a little older, and then I started transitioning into coaching. So it was a lot easier because they could spend more time with me, and the pressure of hitting and throwing and fielding wasn't as much there
Right.
because I wasn't doing it anymore. I
Yeah.
was teaching it. So that's when the I guess the sense of ease came when I started coaching.
Yeah. And I love this part that we're talking about now because I know that now you've been married now for over 40 years
Mhm.
and you're such a supporter of your wife, and when she was supporting you all along, you guys were there for each other and you made it, and it's possible if you're both invested in doing it. And that's amazing. That's an inspiration just there. Not even talking about
Yeah.
baseball, but just right there.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That my wife has been my support system for all these years and continues to be. It's just like I'm helping her with her business. Uh, we just support each other and just just think about each other and what we want to do in life, and we want to do it together. So we just continue to do that like that.
That's beautiful. That's one of the secrets I think of a healthy relationship is just to
Mhm.
continue doing new things together and doing it. And that's beautiful. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that.
Welcome.
Maybe people are going to start asking you questions about relationship and not baseball anymore. Now, let me ask you this. I know in sports, a big factor there is the word competition. And it's funny because I have an older brother.
Mhm.
So he's not only older, he's a guy. So he was always better at everything before I was, right? So when we were kids, he would make fun of me because of it. So it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
developed in me, Dallas, a little bit of that competition thing. Like I have to
Oh,
push it, I have to push it. So then I go into that mindset that I have to like give my all, adrenaline and all of that stuff. And not always I liked feeling that. So sometimes I don't even watch a game because I already go into that mode of competition and
Mhm.
and I start getting stressed and I don't want to feel that way. So
Right.
that's what competition is for me.
Mhm.
I'm blaming my brother now. So, how was it for you? You're actually in the game now, not with like my brother was, but some of most of them are maybe as good as you, and then some other in different leagues were maybe better. How did you deal with that competition?
You know what? I just kept playing. I didn't really think about it. Like we talked about earlier, if you go out there and think about, okay, this guy is really good and this pitcher is really, really good, you're going to fail. So you had to go out there and say, hey, there's only one person out here that I have to convince is good, and that's me. I just work on me, keep my mind stayed on the game, keep my mind stayed on the prize, and that's try to be the best I could be, and that's where I found my success.
I love this so much, Dallas. But I'm gonna tell you, it's important in everything in life to focus on your better self and not in comparison to others.
Hmm.
And I just learned that in the last few years
Mm.
because I always thought that I have to be better and better, but comparing to other people. So you compare me being a mom, um, maybe the way that I dress or the career that I have, how successful I am. You're always constantly looking outward to find where you should be. Even in my career now, there are people behind me and there's tons of people ahead of me, but there's no other me.
Hmm.
And I think that this such is an important thing for everybody, no matter where you are in life and who you are, to stop comparing. And that's also one of the things that creates division if you think about it.
Hmm.
If everybody's just focused on giving their best, everybody's going to be joyful. They're going to love what they're doing, and they're not going to see the other one as the in a way an enemy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm so thankful that you said that, and I'm very impressed that you were able to have that mindset so early on. Do you credit that to like your own personality kind of thing, or do you think that that was also part of the environment that fed you with that kind of thinking?
Well, yeah. First of all, growing up in Brooklyn, New York it wasn't easy. So you always had to think about what do I need to do to get out of here. So that drove me to the point where I was going to try to be the best I could be to get an opportunity to leave the situation that I was in. But I grew up in a family of 10. So
Wow.
so I had six sisters and three other brothers that you know my parents had to focus on as well. So a lot of it I had to do on my own. So I learned self determination by just trying to feed off of trying to be the best that I could be, and not leaning on anyone else.
That's amazing. How old were you when you started? You kind of came out of the house and you started playing, and
Probably 12, 13 years
wow.
old when I started traveling in different areas of playing of baseball. Like I said before, growing up in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn, there wasn't baseball fields around there. There were public schools and they had concrete. So a lot of stuff we had to do was on the concrete and asphalt. Stick ball played in the streets. So it's surprising because I was a pretty good basketball player, and a lot of people ask me how come I didn't
Yeah.
pursue the sport. I just loved baseball more. So at the age of 12 and 13 and beyond, when I started traveling with teams and really trying to figure out what life was all about, that helped me become a better baseball player as well.
That is awesome. That is amazing. Now, for the people who are watching us here today, what would you say? You already dropped us with a lot of gems, but what would you say for people who are in a possibly in a career that they don't love, like you did love, still love what you do and where you are? What would you tell these people? That's a very difficult
Mm.
situation. So what would you say?
Well, the only thing I can really say is if you don't love it, you need to find something else. Because if you don't love it, it's going to be easy to give up. It's going to be easy to say, okay, well, I'll do this tomorrow, or I can't do it, so I'm going to just blow it off. But if you don't love what you're doing, whether it's a nail technician or a janitor or whatever, then you need to find something else that you love because that's going to take you through life.
And that's the thing. I think that's so important for the people to realize that. I always thought that if I have a job, I need to be grateful that I have a job and I have to make the best out of it. And I'm going to try to like it, but I don't really have to like it. But that was also a cultural thing that it was embedded in me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I never had people saying, "Oh, what would you love to do?" What you and maybe sometimes as a young person I was confused. I wasn't sure what I wanted either, but I didn't explore it either. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So then
right.
you just go with the flow. So
Hmm.
then you're not really making decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you're just going with the flow, and then later on in life you're not where you want to be
Hmm.
because of that. So it was in my early 40s that I actually started to awaken in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I didn't know how at this point in my life. Because if you're 20, you're like, oh, I can start my life again, or I can,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But when you're 40, you're thinking how am I going to start from scratch again? Something that I have not worked on for the last 2 decades. But guess what? It's possible.
That's right.
And I had fear, I had concerns, but I was able to work with that with having the right mentors, the right coaches. Little by little, I got my mind to where it needed to be to make it possible and create that for myself. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And this is one of the reasons why you're here, and this is one of the reasons why we have this podcast, is just to really tell people so they are aware they don't have to necessarily be stuck in where they are right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter how old they are either.
That's right. That's
Talking
right.
about that, tell me about where you are in life now and what you're loving about it.
Well, you know what? I want to go back and say, the worst thing that I think a person could say when they're older is, boy, I wish I would have did it like this. Or I wish I would have did that like that. Sometimes I wish there are things that I wish I would have done differently. I kind of made an adjustment later on, but that's the worst thing. And living with that fear made me determined to do what I could do to stay on top of my game, stay on top of taking care of my family. So that's the motivation that I had, and that's something that I will preach for as long as I can. So it keeps me going to the next level. And as far as doing something different, I'm not afraid to venture out and do something if it's something that's gonna make me happy and I think I could be successful. I'm not afraid to try it, and you can't be afraid.
What a wonderful philosophy or principle to live by. That's amazing. So what's going on right now?
Right now, as I'm taking care of my wife, she has her business, Designs by Demand at yahoo.com. Her name is Tia Williams. She sells women's accessories, makes hats and jewelry, and I'm just going around supporting her. She does pop-up shows all around the city of Indianapolis. I'm just going around supporting her.
That is so cool. I can't wait to meet her.
Absolutely.
As soon as you said women's accessories, I'm like,
Yes.
I'm sure it's very popular with all the ladies here, and maybe she should be expanding down in South Florida where I'm at when you guys come maybe on
we can work
vacation.
that out. Yeah,
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
We have such a big diversity down there that I'm sure that it would be a success. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm telling you. So you're now, of course, a father
And a grandfather.
and a grandfather. Okay,
Yes.
I didn't want to assume. How is it being now seeing your kids grown ups now with their own kids? Tell me a little bit about that, because my kids are all teenagers right now. I have 4 teenagers.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to hear now from your perspective, because you're a little bit ahead of me now. How has it been, and what do you think that was important looking back?
Well, you're not. I'm not a little bit ahead of you. I'm a lot ahead of you. But I have 8 grandkids total. I have an older daughter that was not with my wife, so she has 2 kids. My son Dallas, the third, who lives in Atlanta, along with my daughter Dior, who's a firefighter in the Atlanta area. He has 6 kids, and Dior doesn't have children, so we have 8 grandkids, and we cherish our time with them, and it's a wonderful thing. So that's another thing that we look forward to is going there and sharing the times with them and doing different things, the birthday parties, the school functions, and it's really a joy just growing up and watching them develop into the people that they're going to be in. And it's good because my son played a couple years of professional baseball as well in the White Sox organization, and he has 3 sons who he's trying to get to play baseball. So
Wow.
I know he's putting a little pressure on those guys to play, but we enjoy going hanging out with them and doing the things that grandparents do.
Yeah. What would you say that was key as parents to help your kids thrive to who they are today?
Just try to be the best you could be. We weren't strict. We were parents. We had our, moments where we needed to tell them to do something, and you best do it. But we gave them the freedom and the ability to make their own decisions. So I think we did pretty good with them. They're both college graduates, and they did what they had to do to be successful. So the best advice we gave them was be yourself, be assertive in what you do, and stay aggressive at it all the way through life.
That's beautiful. And I also want to pinpoint that the example also, which is not easy sometimes to hold with so many different issues out there in the world today, but when the parents give a good example and they're united with that, it's probably one of the best things that you can give your children.
Without a doubt.
So just the fact that you guys are like this, and now with them having kids and they're looking how you guys are, it's there, you're continuing to inspire them with the example that they need to be successful, and now your grandchildren are learning from that too. So it's like it's a wonderful domino effect, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yes.
So kudos and congratulations for you and your wife to being such a great example, and being making a successful family like that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Share with us one of the last few thoughts. One thing that you would do different in your life looking back, and why. And one thing that you want to leave our listeners with so they can take this for maybe the gem of the episode for their week.
Well, one thing that I would change growing up is absolutely nothing. I've had a wonderful life. I was blessed with two wonderful parents who supported me and their 10 kids as best they could, gave us what we needed. It wasn't tough. It wasn't, easy at times. It was tough to give us everything that we needed, but they did their best. So I salute my mother and father. My father's passed. My mom is 92 years old, going strong in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I just appreciate what they did for me. So I have no regrets on that. As far as to the listeners and the people watching, just try to be the best you could be. With the way things are going now in this world, there's really no time to be, a bad person, mean and all, be an adverse person. Just try to love everybody, and let's try to get this thing back to where it needs to be. And this world needs to come together a lot more than what it is now. It's just, in particular the United States. We need to just come back and get to loving each other and just supporting each other and getting it back to where we need to be.
I love everything that you just said. I think one key thing is how grateful you are for everything. And one of the main things in life for us to be able to see our past, our present, and our future is to be grateful.
Absolutely.
And that gratefulness brings you now to be able to be more loving and giving. So that creates that energy and that pattern and that example, which can potentially multiply.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yes.
And there's so much power in that. It's something that maybe we've heard a lot, or we've, listened to music saying that, like John Lennon's song. But
yeah.
Regardless, it's important that we understand that that's the most powerful thing that we can do. And that just brings more goodness when we are able to start practicing that. And it can start with one thing here, one thing there, but not depend on your circumstances. Like you did not allow any difficulty in your circumstances when you were growing up to interfere with all of the good that you chose to create.
Right.
So this is very key. It's that power of that decision that you created for yourself, and that molded into the life that you have. Thank you, Dallas, for being here today.
Thank you,
This was
Jessica.
so inspirational, such a good example. How can people find you and follow you and your wife again?
Well, I'm pretty much out of the loop as far as following me, but like I said, my wife's email address is designsbydemand@yahoo.com. You can reach me through her. Well, if you need to send me an email, and some of my old friends that might be watching this podcast, my email address is dallaswill@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I hope that you and your wife keep traveling and shining and doing all of these beautiful projects that you guys have together. You guys are amazing. I can't wait to meet her. Really, Andre meant it, and I really would love to meet her.
It will happen.
Thank you. So I am today here with you all, talking to Dallas, and I wanted to say that this show is produced by the I Am Beast Network, and I'm Andre the Beast Creighton, and it is sponsored by Forever Living, which is the best aloe vera juice in the world who transformed my wellness, and Purium, which is the ultimate lifestyle transformation with superfoods. As a supplement strategist, I am here to support you in your health from inside out. My name is Jessica Javens, and this is Jessica Javens Talk.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Females need you just touching me.